everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you're here. And welcome to another Makers with Heart video hop. This month, the Makers with Heart are featuring pattern number 10 from Make It From Your Heart, Volume 5. We are all doing the same pattern, and so you'll be able to see each of our takes on how to do this pattern. Okay, so I am going to use papers from Are We There Yet? And also from the Mixin collection. Okay, so I'm going to show you the cutting of all of these papers because it's a little bit complicated. And my photos are from an outing to the paint mines in Southeast Colorado. My husband and I took an afternoon and drove down and walked around the paint mines. And this was right before Thanksgiving, so we pretty much had the place to ourselves. There was just another family there, and we got to walk around and explore. And it was a really cold day, but sunny and just a lot of fun and really interesting to explore these paint mines. Okay, so I am going to get started. The paint mines in Colorado, they're located near the town of Calhan, and you can walk around these rock formations. They call them spires and hoodoos, and they were created by the wind and oxidation and different minerals in the rocks turn them colors. And so the Native Americans would take different clays to create paint from these rocks. Pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting everything up. This first piece with the geotags, that's the boldest piece in this collection, so I'm going to use the largest, most distinct pieces for this one. So it's paper number 1, and it's piece A, I, and N. Okay, so I will post a quick photo of this pattern at the end of the video, so you'll be able to see the dimensions. Okay, so then the next piece, that's going to run along the middle with these arrows, and it's honey butter, so they're 2x12 strips. I'm kind of laying things out as I go. So each side of the pattern, if you go through it methodically, they're A, B, C, D, and when you lay things out, you start with your A, and then your next piece down is B, then C, D, and so on. Okay, so this next piece is a glacier piece that has a map on it, and it's not any specific map, but it's a nice background piece. It kind of blends, and it doesn't, it's not too busy because your eye sees it as a solid color. So that one is the next largest piece that I'm gonna put down for C, and then on the other side it's for piece J, and those are both 7x8. And then paper number 4, I'm going to use this piece from the Mixin collection, and it has all the same colors that are in the Are We There Yet collection. So I'm going to use this, it's kind of a dotted splattered piece, and one for each side, 6.5x6. And you'll notice that I set it down going the wrong way. The long side, it's supposed to be portrait rather than landscape, but I do fix that when I start setting things out to figure out where everything is going to be placed. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so the next one is papaya, and I'm using the light side of papaya because a lot of these colors, they're very soft, with the exception of that sapphire piece. So I'm going to go with the light side of the cardstock colors. And then this next piece is another mix-in, and it is sage, and that is going to back my photos. Just kind of trying to figure out where things go, placing them down. And I did realize that that honey butter piece on the right side, I placed it correctly when I went to adhere. So okay, so this piece of sage is going to be where my photos are laid out. And then the last piece is this toffee dotted piece And this is also a mix-in. So you can use a lot of busy pattern or seemingly busy papers, but your eye, it sees it as a solid, like this toffee piece, even though it's polka dot. In the grand scheme of things, it's going to seem like a solid, but it just gives enough interest to the whole layout. And so it's a blend between busy pieces and then other pattern pieces that are not quite so busy. So we've got a lot going on, but they all come together nicely. Okay, so I'm looking at the dimensions, and before I start using any adhesive, I'm going to kind of figure things out and lay it all out on my background piece here. I'm using a base of white daisy. So the pattern shows you exactly from the bottom how many inches, and then from the left side or the right side how many inches, and where to place each piece. And then as I adhere them, I bring in a T-square ruler to make sure everything's placed correctly. Usually I eyeball a lot, but on this particular pattern, because there are so many different layers, it's pretty important to get things placed correctly. And here's where I figured out that one piece was in the wrong direction, so I fixed it. And so when I go to actually adhere everything, I'm going to use a ruler and make sure it's all placed correctly. Okay, so I have everything laid out, and now I'm going to put my pictures down. So I wound up swapping the places of that photo of my husband on the right, and I switched it so that he's looking in from the left side of the layout, and then the right one, he's looking the other direction. So they're kind of facing each other. And then I felt like there wasn't enough definition with these really pale colors. So I decided to go ahead and ink most of the pattern papers with the coordinating colors. So this one, the base is Glacier, so I inked it with Glacier. And then with the two pieces on the right side that are dovetailed, I'm dovetailing this one here. So just snip vertically in the center and then take each corner to meet that snip, and you'll get your dovetail piece. And then I'm inking around the edges with toffee ink because it's a toffee base. So I use sage around the piece that's sage, and then papaya around that piece of papaya cardstock. Okay. All right, so I've got everything adhered, and this is the last bit with the photos. So when you've got 3 in a section, to get them even, I start with the center one. Okay, so that sage piece is 10 inches across. So I'm starting at the 5-inch mark in the center of that center picture. And then it makes it easier to place the other ones evenly. So you've got the same amount of space on the left side of the picture and then in between the two pictures. So it's all balanced. We'll get our pictures down, and then I will assemble the right page off screen. So here's those dovetailed pieces, the last bits to add to the page according to the pattern. And then we'll layer in that next piece of papaya. Now the fun part, we can make our embellishments, okay? So this stencil is from Stencil Pack 1, and it has a nice scene of a lake and some trees and sunbeams, okay? So I'm going to do a blend of colors. I'm going to start with Glacier, blend it into sage, and then into honey butter, and do a little detail with some papaya. Okay, so I have spritzed this stencil with some pixie spray. It's a low tack adhesive spray, and and placed it down on some white daisy. It doesn't matter the placement because I'm going to fussy cut the whole image out. And so then I'm just using blending brushes and lightly blending some glacier and then taking some sage and adding that for the little mountains and trees. And then we'll go into honey butter. Using these stencils, it's a great way to have a unique embellishment on your layout. And I'll go ahead and add in a little tiny bit of papaya. And then I'll go back with honey butter. So cool. Okay, and the reveal. Ta-da! Okay, so off camera, I'll go ahead and fussy cut that out. Pretty simple fussy cutting. Okay. Now I'm going to flip over my Versamat for some stamping. So these stamps are called Adventure Badges, okay, and they're still available. I'll put a link in the description below. So the first stamp I'm going to stamp in sapphire, and it says, "You will never know until you go, adventure awaits." And then the next one I'm going to stamp in sage, and it says, "Welcome to the wild, find your own way." So even though these papers are travel themed and they're more, well, when you first look at them, you think more like, you know, get on a plane with your luggage and go somewhere, stay in a hotel, yada yada. So this is a way to use these papers for staycation pictures and hiking pictures. So, okay, so now I have printed out on my computer a description of the paint mines, and I had too much to say, so I needed to put it in a smaller font. So I've typed everything out and printed it, and I have this old stamp set. It's called Documented Scrapbooking, and it was just the first one that I put my hands on that it worked. And it just, this line here, it says date, place, and notes. So I'm stamping that in papaya ink, and then I can write out the date that we were there. And then I'm just writing Southeast Colorado. Took us about an hour and a half to drive there from our house. Colorado is amazing. You can go from pine trees and foothills to this cool area that's, who knew? Who knew that was out there? So with these windblown spires and hoodoos and rock formations, pretty cool. Okay, so off camera, I've die cut each of these stamped images out with the circle die. And now I'm just going to lay my embellishments out on my layout. And I did figure out that I was a little bit off camera there, so I've got everything scooched over now so you can see. And then I'm going to use these wood grain letters, alphabet, to spell out paint mines for my title. Okay, so I have all those out, and then I felt like they weren't quite dark enough. So you can change these with your tri-blend markers. So just color over them. So you can still see the wood grain, but you can change the color if it's not quite right. So this is a coral blend marker, and I'm using the medium color in that marker. And I'm going to color all those in. So now they're a little bit more bold, and you can see my title a little bit better. And then with the stickers, I have kind of cut these out of the carrier sheet, so they're not sticky yet, each one of these, so I can move them around on my layout and kind of figure out placement before I actually stick them down. So I want it all to be right before I stick everything down. And I think I'm getting there. I'm just going to move some things around. And keep adding some more stickers. I feel like that photo op sticker needs to get scooched over, and then the camera can go there. And then I've got a giant triangle, a visual triangle of all of my elements on my page. So I'll add in that last geotag, and I'm liking it. Okay, so I've stuck everything down, and I've popped a couple of things with some thin foam tape. And then we'll add our last couple of embellishments. So part of the round stamped image is popped, and then part of it I've got it direct with tape runner. So it's all on the same level. And then the last step to finish things off, I'm going to add some of these acrylic dots. They are self-adhesive, and I'm just deciding on a color. So this one is it's the closest to honey butter. Thought I might use some that were close to papaya, but then ultimately I decided on using the honey butter ones. And I'm going to scatter a bunch of those around to complete my visual triangle. And then I'll have some close-up shots at the end. Okay, and there's my finished layout. So be sure to click on the link in the description below, or the playlist at the end of this video, to see all of the other cool things that the Makers with Heart have decided to do with the same pattern. So I'm curious to see what everyone's decided to do too, and how much they differ and how much they're alike. So this is a fun pattern, lots of different pattern papers in it, but it comes together nicely with these cut diagrams from Close to My Heart. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And then you'll be able to find all of my videos. I'll make a list of supplies with links in the description below, and you'll be able to do some shopping. And thanks for watching.